some of the feedback I get from customers, you talked about expertise, and one of the challenges I hear from a lot of ours is because there's so much choice out there, they can't be an expert in everything. So they know the customer, but they can't be an expert in all the vendors and all the different parts of security, AI, mobility, whatever it is. Yeah. How do you get that expertise in front of your customers, and how do you actually train people? We mentioned it before, and I won't say the company, but there's companies out there that have been selling document management or print for ages, and they're trying to make the transition to self-security.
Yeah.
But the salespeople, they don't want to do that. They don't want to make the transition because they're happy selling what they're selling. So how do you educate people, or how do you actually get that expertise in front of the customer?
So there's a few answers to that, right? One is you use marketing to push out your message to all of your customers and that. But to make the salespeople successful, to be brutally honest, right, the account managers and the account directors that Ultima have are phenomenally good, in my opinion, but then I'm biased, right? But like you said, they've always been very good at selling what they've already sold, right? Yeah. So if I expect them to be security specialists, or I expect them to sell cloud managed services, or I expect them to sell AI or something like this, they're never going to do it. So that's where we rely on the specialists. Okay, so specialists and our pre-sales department that sits behind them, they live and breathe security. They live and breathe cloud. They live and breathe digital, right? Those are the ones that actually get introduced by sales. So we train and we equip sales to be able to open the conversations. We do proactive campaigns, we do marketing, we do awareness and that. And then we use those really excellent relationships that our account managers and our account directors have to introduce the subject matter expert, right? And that subject matter expert will use their knowledge of what's happening in the industry, what's happening in other customers, and that to help advise and guide the customer. And that really helps to build those trust elements, not just trust between the customer and the specialist, but trust between the salesperson and the specialist.
I was going to ask that, because I hear a lot of I hear a lot of people in the industry that work for partners. They're reluctant to bring the overlay specialist in. They're reluctant to bring the specialist in because they're thinking they're losing control of the relationship, or the customer won't get on with them, or whatever it is. How do you marry the two? How do you make sure that they are bringing the customer or the specialist in, and then they're not losing control, or they're feeling like, actually, all my customers are going?
That's a really good question, right? And it starts at the heart of, in my opinion anyway, starts at the heart of what's important to a lot of salespeople, which is the money, right? Yeah. So if there is no financial disadvantage to bringing in one of these specialists, that most definitely helps.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no, not just in Ultima, but in other places that I've worked, there's no shadow of a doubt that your win chance goes up significantly when you bring a specialist in, as opposed to somebody who's trying to compete against a specialist from another company, right? But there is always that control. So it starts with opening the door and having the first meeting, all right? And I'll be honest, not all account managers or account directors will be on board with it, and not all of the relationships will gel, right? But probably if they did, you wouldn't have enough specialists to be able to handle the amount of work that was out there, right? And then you reinforce it with success and teaming. You reinforce it with them getting together and telling the story about how they were more successful together and how they were stronger together. But also it works on the account manager as well, because their reliance on specialists starts to reduce the more time they spend with specialists, because the better they get, the more educated they get. Sorry, that's the wrong word. The more educated they get on that particular area, because they've been through that journey with the specialist, learning and picking up additional detail in that. So actually, it then frees the specialist up to work on a few other opportunities with a different account manager or a different account director.
James, I said this to you at lunch. There'll be a lot of people who would love to emulate your career in the industry. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to get the career to the top of the ladder, get to a CRO role? How have you done that in your career, and what advice would you give to them if they wanted to get to your role?
Well, it's coming across as a too obvious answer, right? Too much of an obvious answer. Just don't be a dick, right? I'm sorry, okay. But I think you, especially in the channel, right, where you're not a manufacturer and you don't produce, you don't have products and all this kind of stuff. you live and breathe by the people around you and the strength of the relationships you have with them and the faith that they have in you. I've done so well because I've had brilliant people around me and behind me and ahead of me, right? And I've tried to, sometimes, difficult for me, put my pride behind me of going, well, of course, I know that. I don't, right? I know better people who do know, and then they can help me, right? Like I said to you earlier, I know the stuff that I'm bad at. So to quickly try and understand the things that you are good at and the things that you are bad at, and do not be worried about surrounding yourself with people who are very, very good at the things that you are bad at. Because as a team, you will be stronger. I've had a great team that I work with in IBM, and some of them work with me in Logicalis, and some of them work with me again in Softcat, right? We wouldn't continue to have that team if we didn't work so well together and we didn't make each other better. So, part of me has been carried on the shoulders of other. Some of it has been some of my own capability, right? But genuinely, I just do my very best to not be a dick.
You've heard it here, listeners, IT channel. Don't be a dick if you want to be promoted. James, let's bring it up to date in 2023 now. What do you think is going to be the top 3 pieces of tech that customers are going to invest in 2023?
What pieces of tech? Can I expand that a little bit into things that they're going to need in the tech industry?
Let's go on then.
All right, because I think number one right now is the right resource, the right help, right? Everybody, even in our tech business, we find it hard to get brilliant people, right, to help our customers grow and help them and be more successful in that. So actually having people, the right people, or access to the right people is just as important as a piece of tech, right? And I'm assuming you mean a bit of hardware here, right? Because if I was to say the top things that people need from within tech, if you're a CRO, it's probably a pacemaker or some kind of anti-stress machine or something like this. But no, seriously, our customers are always, they continue to put a huge amount of their spend within security and protecting themselves at the end of the day, right? It goes without saying the world is infinitely more at risk. The reason why we bought that anti-social engineer business within Ultima was pretty much because we knew that people needed to be protected because the risks out there are just so much worse than ever. And you could buy the best systems in the world, right? And they will protect you, but at the end of the day, somebody clicking on something that they shouldn't do or doing something that they shouldn't do will generally be where you get your problem, right? So, but no, there will continue to be a purchase in security tech, but I find it really difficult to come up with a third obvious one. If it was me, if it was outside of just the business as usual biz type tech, then actually anything that actually monitors your health and gives you insights into your health and gives you early warnings and all this kind of stuff, that I think is the one piece of tech that everybody should be invested in. Even down to the ring that I wear that tells me whether I'm sleeping or I shouldn't have eaten so late last night, or actually if you didn't have that second gin, your body temperature wouldn't have been so high and you probably could have gone to the gym in the morning. Those things are actually really valuable to me because as I said to you before, I haven't quite got the discipline you've got of getting to the gym every morning, right?
Yeah, that's only been recently though. That's only been recently, James. Last 8 months. Before that, it was not even waking up for the gym. So it was.
So if I had my pre-sales director here, Matt, he'll go, actually buy this piece, this piece, this piece. My answer's a bit more spurious, actually. Get the people is my answer. Followed by security, followed by a bit of personal tech.
And my last question, James, and it's a follow-on from what we've just talked about. Where do you see the biggest opportunity in the IT channel in 2023? Where can people hedge their bets? Where can people make money? Where they should be is the opportunity?
So providing skilled resource, consultancy, advice and guidance, like I said earlier on, that speed, complexity, choice and everything like that is really forcing partners to be something very, very different, right? You've probably had a million people sit here and tell you that the world of the partner has changed from pure fulfillment. Hi, I need this. Oh, yeah, excellent. Let me give you 10 or let me give you 5 different options of 10 and we can go make the choice. Actually, every partner should be talking to their customers about where are you trying to go and what you're trying to achieve and what are the options that you weren't considering, right? Providing physical resource is something that's been really accelerating for us, right? Providing technical capabilities to help customers. Services and managed services is huge at the moment, right? Primarily because it's so difficult to keep hold of those people again and keep up with the latest things. It's so much easier just to give it to somebody who lives and breathes this on a day-to-day basis. You can get on and run your own business, right?
Yeah.
Those things are massive. Outside of that, it's everything that you know, right? We know most of the spend is going towards security. Digital and application elements are really awesome. The really interesting to see what's going to happen with like Copilot and all that wonderful stuff. That's going to start with probably some consultancy and how-to and governance, right? I mean, there's nothing better than putting an AI over all your data and then somebody just going, please tell me how much everybody gets paid. Here's the data, right? So actually, that kind of consultancy and governance, things like that, it's a really interesting thing. It's going to be big, but not for, in my opinion, not for this year.
James, you've been a great guest. Thanks so much for your time.
I really enjoyed it, Mark. Seriously.